We got us a new sponsor for the Dirty Right Rear podcast. Box 3 Media provides race teams across the U.S. with social media management, graphics for race days, sponsor announcements, professionally written press releases, exclusive product partnerships, and so much more. Take your reach and exposure to the next level for your team and your sponsors. Contact Loren Kelly with Box 3 Media today by emailing box3racing@gmail.com or calling 920-905-0268.
Okay, guys, here we are back. Dirty Right Rear podcast. This is actually episode 7. And, we had a few weeks off, got a little sick, went to Chili Bowl, done some stuff like that. And this week we're going to have Loren Kelly, Box 3 Media, on. He's going to kind of give us insight on what he does with that. A lot of people I know may not know that, but what he kind of does and everything, but it's a pretty cool deal. And we'll dig into some of that. We'll dig into the Chili Bowl. He was there with us most of the week and running around, but kind of hangs out with the Joe B camp a little bit, and he was around most of the time. So he'll give us his insight on some Chili Bowl. We'll talk IRA stuff. He's actually the announcer for the IRA sprints, and we'll just dig into some stuff like that.
We'll cover his Box 3 Media as well. I know that's his big thing. And
yep.
Welcome, Loren.
How's it going, guys? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's going. How's the weather up that way?
It's cold.
So
I'm not sure.
Where are you actually from?
I'm from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. I was born in Plymouth on basically the backstretch of the Plymouth dirt track there at the fairgrounds. And then family moved to Fond du Lac around high school time and been here ever since.
So what dirt track is close to you there? What's your home? If you have a home track, what would you consider your home dirt track?
Plymouth is definitely my home track. That's about a half hour to the east of me. And then it's actually really nice being in Fond du Lac. If anybody wants to move to Wisconsin and be around racetracks, this is a place to be because I'm about half hour from Plymouth, half hour from both Beaver Dam tracks, about an hour from Angel Park, hour from Wilmot, hour from 141. It's very central location as far as all the dirt tracks in the area are. There's some cool asphalt tracks in the area too. We've got Road America, big road course up here and stuff like that. So it's a nice place to be for racing, that's for sure.
I haven't heard that much cool asphalt tracks.
Right. Man, back the dirt tracks, Beaver Dam, that's a place I want to go. Our buddy Matt, he's been, and man, I want to go to Beaver Dam. It looks like a fun track.
Right. It's actually supposedly it might close after this year too, which would really suck. But there's still some really cool specials going on there this year. Our IRA series is going there twice. World of Outlaws going there. And then they've got some other late model things and stuff like that going on there too. So hopefully there's still, I guess, some chance that somebody might buy it and keep it as a racetrack and just develop the rest of the land or something like that. But
that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, it's kind of a long shot right now, I guess. But there's always a chance. There's always hope. So just keeping fingers crossed. So,
man, I would hate that. Hopefully, what's that Copart? Hopefully they don't get wind of it because they'll buy it up.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't think it was going to be Copart. I think there was rumors of a couple bigger people in the racing industry that might buy it, but I guess their offers got turned down or something. But the guy that's owned it for a long time actually is Scott Boyd, who I don't know if you've seen Boyd Family on Carson Macedo's car with the World of Outlaws, and he also owns Caravan Trailers. That sponsored Casey Kane for a really long time. So he's been in racing forever, and I think he's just kind of wanting to get out of it, which is understandable because I totally understand getting burnt out on this stuff sometimes, but we'll see. I'm just happy we're still able to race there this year at least. So
right. Well, at least you still got plenty of options, once they close down, so.
Yeah, absolutely. We are spoiled for choice up here for sure.
I can definitely see getting burned out a little because I was pretty homesick just the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm starting to struggle there towards the end of the week. I think I even told half the people, I was like, man, I hate to say this, but I'm kind of ready to go home a little bit, man. I miss my dog and, everybody at home. And this is a lot. This is a lot.
So let's touch on that, Loren. I know you worked a lot at the Chili Bowl and the shootout. So
Mhm.
how exhausting is that?
Oh man, I mean, shootout is definitely the worst one. I think everybody will say that, and I'm sure Jeremy, you'd say the same thing. Or it'd be Chili Bowl wouldn't be as fun if I didn't do shootout before it, though. I
Right.
think because shootout just drags you down the whole week, and because it's just all day. It's 7 a.m. to midnight or whenever every single day. Um, but then Chili Bowl, you get to sleep in, you get to get there at 4 o'clock, and you get done at 10ish, and it's great. And I think just about everybody that goes to both will tell you the same thing. But it is a lot of work, and from a media standpoint, from what I do, it's kind of go the entire time, and every once in a while I get to sit down at Joby's trailer for a little bit or something like that and take a breather, but um, it's pretty much go, and I can't even imagine racing all four classes or something like that at the shootout, and or crew chiefing on one of those cars or something like that, like what Mike Dicely does or somebody like that. It would just be crazy to me. Or what Joe B does taking care of, six cars, and sometimes even more than that. It's unbelievable. But then again, Chili Bowl feels like just five normal race nights in a row. That's kind
Right.
of what like if you went to Farmington or something like that, it feels like five normal race nights in a row. And then you get a full day Saturday, but most of the people that race Saturday only race one race. So
Right. Right.
it's a little bit more relaxed that way for sure.
So as a fan, Lauren the fan, what do you enjoy more, the Chili Bowl or the Tulsa Shootout?
It's honestly tough because if I was there as just a fan, I think I'd really enjoy the shootout just because it is so much racing. Especially Saturday and like qualifier day at the Tulsa Shootout is one of my favorite days of the year, just because it's so intense. I mean, it
And
is
then you can
every
feel it like
yes,
four
you
o'clock
could
on, qualifier day, it ramps up.
yeah, you can feel the whole energy in the building just goes through the roof, and then Chili Bowl Saturday is great too. But
Right.
honestly, just I think from a fan perspective, I might have honestly enjoyed the shootout more this year just because the racing on Saturday for every single main was so good.
Wasn't it, man?
And
Wild.
yeah, it was incredible. And I think the Chili Bowl prelims are always good. So it's kind of expected. And we got, fortunate this year where the A main on Saturday was really good too. But I think just the way that it all built up to that 55 lap, non-wing outlaw feature at the shootout, and the fact that it was a banger,
Right.
was really, really cool.
Right.
So
That I've always told people my opinion is the shootouts as a fan is the place to go. I enjoy the Chili Bowl, but the shootout to me is way better.
yeah, and I think if you're a fan too, you don't have to take an entire week to go to the shootout because it is just when I mean,
Right.
if you want to see the winged outlaw heat races, it's Tuesday night, but then again, you only have to go there for Tuesday night, and
Right.
you can kind of come and go as you please, and it's only Wednesday through Saturday, so you're not having to take an entire week off of work or something like that. So, or week plus if you go to the Chili Bowl. So, um, yeah, I think from a fan perspective, I would definitely say try the shootout, and if you like the shootout, come back for Chili Bowl. So
A Chili Bowl is something everybody needs to see one time. I've
yes,
gone to Chili Bowl three times, I think. Twice was just Friday and Saturday, and then I got one year I helped Brad Lauriette and his team, and I was there the entire week. And I was burnt out on like Thursday, and that year I don't think he made it. I think he made it to the D main and didn't advance. I went home. I left Saturday night at 6 o'clock, and I was burnt out. I was done. Haven't been back to the Chili Bowl since.
yeah, there's a lot of people that do that after their main's done on
Right.
Saturday, they just leave, and I honestly don't blame them at all.
But
Because
I'm different. Like, for the shootout this year, I went Thursday and Friday. That was it. I left Friday at 8 o'clock. You know, uh, I had no desire to stay for Saturday, but that's just me. I got my racing fixed in 2 days.
sure,
So,
I get you.
definitely see a lot of it. I know this guy. Hell, he was there for. You lived in Tulsa for 2.5 weeks.
Tulsa damn near killed me.
Yeah, yeah. You had the old Chili Bowl flu this last week, huh?
I don't know what it was. I still think I'm still going to blame it on the dome just because it was modified.
Uh,
And I had to kick something the past few days too, just congestion and stuff. But
yeah,
usually I come back from there and I'm just hacking up black
right.
stuff the whole time. But this year it
I,
was just, I think I was just stuffed up.
I mean, right when we pulled into town, I went home and I ate a little something and sat there and 102 fever, 3 days. And I was like, my God, what's up with this? And then it was all in my chest for the last couple of days. And I was like, man, this is awful. This is rough. And I've never had it like that before. So that was my first real sickness of the chili. If they say that's chili bowl flu, I still think I had something else, but I'm gonna blame
I
it on.
think just whenever people get sick after Chili Bowl, they're just like, I got the Chili Bowl flu,
Yeah,
Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't
And
know. I
it,
was talking to Rick Miller, Joe B's dad, and he definitely had the Chili Bowl flu. I mean, he had it bad. So
it's wild every year. Every year, yeah, so many people get it. I've gotten it myself, but it's brutal. That's for sure.
and it don't help that there's just thousands and thousands of people, and you're just elbow to elbow with everybody.
right,
I mean, we still
yeah.
stay away from everybody, but I mean, dang, it's
Well,
still rough.
You guys were parked right under the main grandstands, right?
Yeah, and the fumes up there may be a little worse, I would say.
Well,
I
that
don't know.
and how many thousands of people are gathered in front of your trailer to watch on the big screen?
There ain't
It was
there is a bunch,
Oh
but
man, it's unreal.
I just
yeah.
I still
It's
blame.
quite a lot. You get a lot of foot traffic up that way too.
Oh yeah,
Just coming up and down from the staging lane and stuff like that. But yeah, I
I,
mean, you're right. I mean, I don't know if you thought this year, but I thought the way Thursday, Friday, Saturday was there, that was the busiest I have seen Chili Bowl in a
yeah, that was
long time.
insane. That's what everybody was like. There's never this many people here on Thursday. There's never this many people here on Friday. And the Saturday rolled around, you couldn't even do anything.
I noticed
No.
that in the stands too throughout the week. It was Monday was packed, and I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh. But I thought same thing. Tulsa Shootout. There was way more people there this year.
See, I've kind of feel like that's more spaced out. You don't really have as much, but man, the chili. I complained about the bathrooms at the shootout. Fuck,
Dude,
that
hey,
ain't got
number
nothing,
2 on my
man.
list is let's talk about the
Nothing, dude.
Tulsa Chili Bowl bathrooms.
Yeah, instead
Yeah.
of like two people to go to the bathroom, you were out in the freaking tech area waiting to take a dump. I mean, it was just insane. There was at least 15, 20 people in line.
How was the smell?
Hey, here's the bad thing. Over by the food area, there was a guy there that would play music inside the bathroom. He had a little, I don't know if you went over there, he was playing music, but every about 5 minutes, he would get up and spray like disinfectant all over the walls. And so
It was crazy.
it wasn't too bad in that one, but
No.
the other ones were still pretty bad. So I think part of my sickness is probably getting poop particles all in my eyes and stuff like that.
I started to make a habit of about halfway through the week at Chili Bowl just going out of my way to go to the bathroom in the back of the building because there's so many less people back
Yeah.
there because the fans all go to the front two bathrooms or whatever, and I just I took the extra 2-minute walk and just walked to the back because I knew it'd be open for the most part. But
That one dude, he needs some props on it. Hopefully people
Yeah.
see it because he had music playing for you in there, and then he would come in there and mist out some some spray.
you should have had a tip jar.
I
Should have had
know.
a tip jar in there.
I hope more people notice that than just a few of us. But yeah, they need to put about 100 Johnnies on the outside of the building. I mean,
Yes.
because people are like, "Oh, Johnnies are gross." Well, you haven't been to the shootout at a Chili Bowl, then, bud.
No.
I would rather.
It wouldn't be that bad, and they'd be outside too, so
Yeah.
it'd air out a little bit.
Right. So, Lauren, we're gonna kind of, we've just been BSing here, and we're gonna cover the Chili Bowl a little bit, and then we're gonna talk about what you do and your services and IRA, and let you kind of take over after that. But did you guys do any partying down at Chili Bowl?
No.
We did a little bit. Wednesday got pretty rowdy, and then obviously Thursday's the night everybody stays there, and they have the whole pit party there and stuff. And
I left. For that. I left.
Did you?
you left.
Yep. I was not
Figured.
staying
Yeah.
Wednesday night.
Yeah.
It got weird.
Usually, I mean, I don't know, a couple years ago, and not so much last year, but a couple years ago, I went out like every night of Chili Bowl, and it killed me. So this year, I set aside Wednesday because I think Thursday was my lightest day. Or Friday was, but I was doing stuff a day in advance. So Friday was my lightest day. So day in advance, I went out Wednesday. and we had some fun. We go to this place called Kendall's in Tulsa, and it's a good time. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It is truly just it's I don't know. I guess it's just a big party with some racing in between. Like, I mean, I don't know if there's a better way to describe it. Like, it's definitely a different atmosphere. I'd compare it a lot to like the Knoxville Nationals type deal, where it's a pretty much just party all day, party all night, and then go to a racetrack for a few hours.
Right. Yeah.
But
That's an event I've never been to, but it's on my list, but never made it up there. So,
it's a good time.
The red just kept having me eat this fruit, and I didn't know where it kept coming from, and I didn't like it on Wednesday.
Was it the fruit that was soaking in the juices back there, or what?
Yeah, and that wasn't cool. I was done. Hey, I was done.
Who brought that in?
Well, people just made it or whatever,
Okay.
but then Red kept forcing it on me, so I had to eat it.
Let's talk about the big scandal at the Chili Bowl, the tire dope, the Simple Green scandal, or whatever you want to call it. Got anything to add to that? Any thoughts on it?
I have a lot of thoughts on it. I don't know how many I can express here without getting into too much political territory and stuff like that. But um, the notion that it was Simple Green, I think, is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard in my entire life. If you,
we use that.
yeah, there's a lot of people that use that, but they said over and over and over at drivers meeting for Shootout and Chili Bowl, if you use Simple Green to grind, to wet grind your tires,
Yeah.
it will show up.
Yep.
It will show up and it will change the chemical alteration of your tire, and it will not pass. It will not pass the tire test. And they said that over and over and over. So even if it's technically not tire dope, it is still not going to pass. So why would you use it?
Yep.
And why would you not get rid of all your tires and buy all new ones? If you knew you did that, why would you not just buy all new ones? And so I like Clinton Boyles sometimes. Like, I think he adds a lot to the broadcast booth with flow and things like that. And he came by and donated a bunch of money to this beanbag toss we were doing for Chase Johnson, and that was really cool. But I don't know. I think I don't know. I watched a video the other day and it was from Blue Ridge Labs, and they were talking about Simple Green and stuff, and they said that it would not make it that blatantly obvious. And the way they were trying to downplay it in that interview he did with Cody, Clinton was saying a lot of things, and Cody wasn't necessarily backing those up. I thought that was kind of funny, where Clinton would say, like, yeah, it was clear that it was Simple Green on the test, and Cody was like, well, it's like, okay, there's a little bit of discrepancy there. And I think overall, Cody Cordell did a fantastic job with tech, both Shootout and Chili Bowl. That was the best I've ever seen there. And, people that have been going a lot longer than I have said that it was the best they've seen there in a long time too. And I think the tire testing at the Shootout really scared people into not doing it at the Chili Bowl. And I think a product of that was a better racetrack every single night. I think
it definitely was. And, I obviously, I'm not a track prep guy or tire prep guy, but, the people that do that for a living put two and two together and kept saying how that was a product of it. And it definitely showed that the track all week was fantastic. That's the best week of Chili Bowl I can remember in ages.
Yeah, I was talking to, people after each prelim night, and I was kind of asking them, I was like, man, I think that track on this, whatever prelim night it was, I'm like, I think this track could have taken 15, 20 more laps before taking rubber.
Right.
Because it wasn't even beginning to get black.
Right.
And, it wasn't even starting to get, if not even black, it wasn't getting shiny or anything. And when the shine goes away, that's when it's kind of getting rubber. And it wasn't even close to being to that point. And, on Saturday too, now of course that we've fixed the tire prep issue, I think now we could probably go back to 55 laps, because I think that track on Saturday could have taken 15 more laps fairly easily. And I think they know that now. And I think that that specific issue has been addressed, that the track prep will kind of take care of themselves. I've known, and everybody's known that Chandler and Billy Bull Gravel, whatever you want to call him, but he does a fantastic job. He knows what he's doing. And I think that the tire prep was just too much for them to combat, the past few years. There's not a lot they could do.
At the shootout, I didn't know what I was looking at. You could go through the pits and, you could see liquid dropping off the tires in the pits and rolling through the pits. And I look at it now and it had to be this simple green. I don't know if guys are wet grinding that into the tires. It had to be what you were seeing. I didn't know what I was looking at, but I knew something was up. But
And I've never seen, well, we use simple green all the time, and we clean the damn whole car with it or whatever, but never grinded it in the tires. So obviously, if you just use simple green on your tires to wash them off, I'm gonna say you're not gonna be a big deal. But there's obviously people know how to really get in the system there. So
I mean, when you grind the tire, I mean, wet grinding's fairly common, but a lot of people do it with simple green, and other people just do it straight up with water. And it just kind of is an efficient way to clean the tire and grind it at the same time. But to me, if you're wet grinding stuff for shootout and chili bowl and you're doing it with simple green, you're doing it to soften the tire. Like you're not doing it to just clean it. And they were talking about people doing it with methanol and stuff like that. Methanol, I think actually, I'm not a chemist or whatever, but just from what I know about it, I think it would actually harden the tire. If anything, methanol would
dry it out. Right.
Yeah. Right. So it wouldn't make it softer. I think it would just, people clean it with methanol fairly commonly. But again, even if it made it harder, it would still not conform to the benchmark. So, it's kind of a weird deal where if you make it harder, it gives you absolutely no advantage, but it probably won't pass a tire test either. So I don't,
Next year, everybody will have big old tubs of lube in there grinding.
My first initial thought when they done the interview with Clinton Boyles, I was like, kudos to him. He come on, admitted to it. But then the more I looked into it, I'm like, things don't really add up. Number one, biggest race of the year, and you come out with used tires, year-old used tires. That was the first red flag for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and the fact that Hunter got caught too, I thought was interesting, because for people that don't know, Clinton is Hunter's brother-in-law, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, brother-in-law. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that prior.
Yeah. So I don't, it could be a complete coincidence, and I could just be, completely off base, but I don't know. It was the strangest interview I've ever seen in my entire life.
It really
That's
was.
for sure.
It was, and for him to say, like, yeah, I drugged this tire out of the back that was a year and a half old or something. Yeah, I'm going to Chili Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy a new tire, man. I could be like, what's in the field? What's out there in the field? Let me go and see if I got something over there in the pile.
Right. That was the first red flag to me. Once I was like, yeah, I don't know. I'll be really curious to see, like you mentioned, Loren, Cody done an outstanding job with tire tech, everything. I'll be curious to see how that translates into other stuff throughout the year. Not necessarily Cody, but just, do other series follow suit?
Oh, I think with the Chili Bowl and the shootout deal, and then, Keith Coons kind of started the whole deal with busting all these restrictor kids. And, a lot of them were like, oh, we didn't know about it, or whatever. But I think he kind of started the end of the season there, busting some of that, and then it's trickling down. So I think you're looking at a little more next year. People may be following a little more rules.
Right. I hope.
Yeah. I think on the micro side of things, definitely. I think you'll see a lot stricter.
Oh yeah.
Maybe tire tech and stuff like that, and motor teardowns and things like that. But it was ridiculous. Even just last year there, you'd roll up staging for an A-class heat race, and the next 3 cars in front of you have outlaw motors. And it was the most obvious thing, but nobody teched for it.
Right.
So it was really frustrating. But then this year, I didn't see hardly any of that. And, I think it's just a product of, Cody saying over and over and over before the event, if you cheat, you're out. Like, you're out of here for the week and maybe for next year, and that was a big thing. I know he said that, or people translated the rule for the tire prep, where people thought that if you got caught at all with tire prep this year, you were gone for next year too. That's not the case. It was if you got caught, obviously Clinton and Hunter got caught during the week, so they got disqualified for this week. Yep. But Sam Johnson, who just got caught this, yesterday or the day before, I don't remember what it was, but he got caught after the event. So obviously you can DQ him for this last event, but you're not preventing him from being there and participating in this event. So he gets the ban for next year. Yep. That was how that works out. Like if Clinton and Hunter got caught after, they'd be gone for next year too.
And I believe they've got all other tire samples back, and everybody was good other than those three, right?
Yep. Everybody on Saturday came back clean. So
it was pretty crazy to watch a lot of the teams. When they made that big announcement, you seen tires going out the back doors.
I wondered about that.
Oh man, it was bad. Like trailers, you walk through there and you'd be like, man, that guy didn't even bring a tire with him this week.
Yeah, that old boy at the Hoosier trailer up by the staging area sold a lot of tires.
I know you guys were there, so I'm sure you caught wind of it, but they actually kicked somebody out who was prepping tires there, an individual. Did you guys know about that?
I didn't. So I didn't hear they got kicked out. I know of one team that Cody or somebody walked by and saw they were spraying methanol on the tires. So Cody came by and said, "Hey, don't do that because it won't pass the tire test. We know it doesn't help you or anything." They were just spraying on it to clean it. They weren't grinding it in or anything.
There was another individual. They done a whole little interview with Cody on it. There was Snapchats, videos of this happening in the pits. It was an individual who was doping the tires in some way. It was not for a team. I would assume he would do it for several people, but they kicked him out. But they couldn't kick a car because he was not with a car.
I did
not hear about that at all.
I want to say that was probably, I'm going to guess Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
I'll have to do some digging afterwards, see if I can find that on Flow or when it was. But I would
love to know what teams he was working for.
Yeah. Justin Fiedler that does Dirt Tracker, he just hit on it this week, and he still don't know who it is. So I don't think anybody's telling who it was.
Sure.
But there was somebody there doing it. And I don't know. It kind of sounds like it was hidden from.
Okay.
It wasn't just out in the open.
That might be a pretty good business.
Right?
That could be pretty good business. Yeah.
You ain't got a car, you just hang out outside the pits and be like, hey, I'll dope your tires out here.
Right.
$20 a tire.
So they did one at Pit Walk interview. I don't remember whose trailer they went to, but you went between these two trailers. You had to open doors, and there was like a whole bar and restaurant behind their trailers, and it was awesome. I want to say it might have been Clinton Boyle's trailer. I don't know. I don't remember now who it was.
Now, right there where Clinton and all them were, they had those big tables and that guy playing the guitar and all kinds of stuff.
In the back.
So that's the Wisconsin pit.
Oh, okay. That was farther
toward the back door.
Yeah, 3/4 away, maybe.
Yeah,
it was right across from the GR8 camping with Dermot and all that. Yeah, so that's the Wisconsin. That's where I hang out when I'm not up by Joe B. But
they had,
so that's all
refrigerators and mini fridges with beer, and there was all the beer you would want in there. Open it up. I'm like, man, that'd be a cool place to go.
Yeah. So 2 years ago in that pit, we had a full on wedding and a DJ, and this last year we had that one man band guy who did like looping stuff with his guitar, and it was awesome. And it's great every year. Like it's Brandon Welty and Todd Cleaver and those guys, and the nice thing is it is a huge party, but it's also like they take the racing super seriously. Like Brandon made the C Main last year. Like it's really, really cool, and they're just great people to be around. And it was nice that we were pitted right across from the McDermott camp, because all those guys are from the Wisconsin area too. Like Josh Balicki's he lives like, I don't know, 5 minutes away from me or something like that. So it's kind of cool to, have that whole crowd together. But yeah, that whole group is just great. I mean, you all know Daniel Robinson and stuff. That's his camp, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That explains a lot.
Yeah.
We'll get on and kind of talk about the Chili Bowl. We had Monday night. I'm just going to kind of go over the top three here. You got Kyle Larson winning, Shane Golobic second, Ken McIntosh third. Joe B, I think he started 12th that night in the A main, finished seventh. So that was kind of the Monday. Anything stand out to that, or anything you guys remember about Monday night?
I mean, that was a good night for me, that was for sure.
Yeah, that was a great night, and I don't think people really understand how impressive that is from Joby. He runs a midget like three times a year. Like he never runs a midget,
Right.
and it's great for Louis and his car owner Chris Lewis. We'll call him Louis, but it's great for that whole deal, and the fact that they can just pull it out of the box and run seventh at a Chili Bowl prelim night is pretty crazy. So but yeah, and Larson doing Larson things. I mean, the whole week he had maybe like the 20th best car in the building.
You're being generous.
It wasn't even close. Yeah, it was. That car looked awesome, and he found a way. So
yeah, Larson is unreal, man. It just some drivers can take anything and be fast, and he's one of them. Like you said, his car was trashed. The feature, it was trash. The Race of Champions, it was trash.
Yeah,
and he wins.
Yep, of course.
People can't give him respect, man. They're crazy, man, because I mean, everybody wants to complain about all these rich kids that come up and they buy these rides and do all this, but there's a handful of them that you can't say that. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Right. We had Tuesday night, kind of one of the shocks of the Chili Bowl, Landon Brooks picking up the win. Brenham Crouch, that's one of your hometown guys or one of your hometown areas. He was impressive. Yep. And then Buddy Kofoid running out the podium Tuesday night. I was shocked at that podium.
Yeah, nothing on Tuesday made sense at all.
Right? I don't know enough about Landon Brooks to have an opinion one way or other. Brenham Crouch, it had to be the race of his lifetime, just about. I mean, man.
Yeah, I mean,
especially in a midget.
Yeah, and I mean, people forget that Brenham was a national midget champion with Power Eye, so he has plenty of midget experience, and his team that he was running for Hayward and stuff, and he brought all his guys with too, so they have plenty of midget experience. But so they expect to go there and do well. But I know for him that was huge confidence wise. I mean, he spent the whole last year with High Limit getting his teeth kicked in. And he will admit that. I mean, he just got destroyed with High Limit this year. But he made a lot of progression with his driving and things like that. And he's going to CJB this year, which is a really good deal for him, I think. And the fact that he came out of the box at Chili Bowl this year and run second on a prelim night and almost won it, that's crazy. And it's so good for his confidence. And Landon Brooks is a fantastic kid out of California, and he's part of that whole Red Bluff outlaw deal out there that Larson and Day and everybody else that's ever come out of California has come from. And he's doing the sprint car deal. He ran that 45 car a few times last year, was pretty impressive in it. But the fact he's not in, I just saw yesterday or the day before that he does have a ride now for this next year, but it's nothing like insane or whatever. It's a good car, but it's not a national car.
And it's still mainly California.
Yeah. Like the fact he's not in something national this year is a travesty. Like that kid should be on a national tour now.
Right.
And, I mean, but if he takes another year to develop, he could come on a national tour the next year and be even better. So
I kind of feel the same way about Shane Golobic. I mean, Shane's not a kid. He's an older guy, but man, Shane has, for the last 10 years, it doesn't matter where he's at, what car he's in, he's up front. And I don't understand why he's not got, a national ride.
I mean, what is this, the fifth year that he's finished second on a Chili Bowl prelim night or something like that?
Yeah.
It's unreal. The fact he hasn't won one is just crazy. But
no, I agree. He's a guy every year, man. He's fun to watch. And when I do the pools, he's my sleeper every year. I pick him because I know, he's going to do good.
He's my easiest lock-in pick. Every year. He will lock in.
Yeah. Yep.
He might not win, but he will lock in.
He's going to get you some points.
Yeah.
We'll move on to Wednesday. We had Emerson Axum winning, Jason Persley second, and Corey Day third. So that future of dirt track racing, which Day's going NASCAR now, but 3 rising stars there.
Yeah, good for Emerson too. I mean, I know he doesn't run midgets a whole lot, and for him to get that win was pretty cool. He's a really good kid, and obviously people think that he's one of these the rich kids coming up like you were talking about before, but he is such a good kid, and he can wield the what out of anything you put him in, and it's really really fun to watch. He won an IRA show this last year at Lincoln Park in a crazy race with Eric Jenitin, and the way he ran that whole week down in Indiana was incredible. And the fact I think he went to Knoxville and made the A this last year and did a crazy good job there too. And this is like his first real full year in a wing car. And the fact he's going down to Knoxville and making the A is just incredible.
Right.
So,
and I feel he's matured so much the last 2 or 3 years, Personally is the same way. I kind of feel the same way. He's really stepped it up and matured. Both those guys have always been fast, but now they have the head to go along with it. They seem to be, have a good racecraft and be smart in the car sometimes.
Yeah.
Thursday, we'll go on to Thursday. We had Tanner Thorson winning, Ryan Bernal second, and C-Bell third.
Yeah. Dude, Ryan Bernal. That's awesome. That was so cool. There was a clip in the media room with I think Seabell was talking to him, and he said this is a lot better than getting booed out of the building after you wrecked McDougal a few years ago. when Jason McDougal was having his big soup run and Bernal was the one that wrecked him. It was pretty cool. But good for him too. And again, those Matt Wood cars.
Right.
They were so good.
Another California kid. It's like, kid. I guess he's not a kid, but
Bernal needed though, from the most hated man in Tulsa to to bringing it back a little. He's probably got 50% of his fans back.
Yeah. I know C-Bell didn't have the Chili Bowl that he wanted, but I do want to touch on him, man. To see his smile back at Tulsa. I'm not a C-Bell fan. I don't dislike the guy. I just don't root for him. But man, that smile he had the 2 weeks of Tulsa was incredible. You could tell he's loving life right now.
He's the happiest guy I've ever seen finish third in my life.
Right.
That was crazy.
He gets out and he's like, I need to see what I did wrong. That was, had Ryan not missed the bottom, hey, where you going, Ryan?
Yep.
Ryan was going to win that Thursday show from third on the last. You're like, what the hell? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
He shut the door on Bell from doing anything. I mean, Bell was out there just hands in the air. He didn't have nowhere to go. He was done. He just needed to take third and just call it a day.
Yep. Yeah. Thorson was the luckiest guy that night that, like you said, that Bernal missed the bottom. Because if he didn't, Bernal was taking that.
Oh, yeah, there ain't no doubt. And the funniest part, and I'm sure you guys have seen the clip, was, you might have been in the media room when they was watching on the laptop, and Bell was like, where was you going now, right? Or Bernal?
Yeah. Where are you going, Ryan? Yeah.
That was great.
And Thorson calling out Bell for traction control too. That was really funny.
Right.
At the beginning of that, when he's like, wow, good restart, traction control.
I forgot about
Jesus.
That. Yeah. Man,
he's not a loss for words on stuff.
He wasn't holding back on stuff was he?
No. Thorson, and that's kind of what I like about him. And I maybe am one of the few people that actually really like Tanner Thorson because he is completely unfiltered. And when he was talking about, they had that 10-minute interview with him about cheating at Chili Bowl. And it was awesome. That is exactly what we need to be putting out there for people to see because it needed to be addressed. It definitely did. And I think the fact that Cody, really made that a priority this year was just cracking down on absolutely everything. Maybe it was a little bit drastic, but I think it really needed to be done.
I think it definitely needed to be done, and the results seem to show for it. So I think they did a good thing.
Yeah.
We'll move on to Friday. We had Logan Seavey, Gavin Miller, and Tyler Courtney rounding out the top three. Anything about those three you want to hit on, or I don't remember a lot about that, to be honest.
I was honestly a little bit impressed weirdly with Tyler Courtney because he hasn't done that well at Chili Bowl or Shootout in quite some time. And I think him running top 3 on a prelim night was just about as good as, you could expect from him, not running a midget all year and things like that. But
Right. Against two guys that drive midgets for a living. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
We did have, that was Cole's night. So
Yep.
Cole had a, eventful shoot or chili bowl. I guess he went out for practice and there was a tick in the motor.
Yeah, I don't really remember exactly what it was, but they ran it. They ran fine. It was just, man, it sounded god awful.
Yeah. So they overnighted parts, moved his night to Friday. And he had, going into his heat race, what do you have, 8-10 laps in a midget ever?
Yep.
All inside the Tulsa building there. And his heat, he started second, finished third. Nothing to hang your head about.
No, mostly with the two guys that was in front of him.
Right.
I mean, I actually thought he was going to hold off Dominic Gordon there for a minute.
Right. Yeah. He made the qualifier, went 10th and 9th. And then B main, that was kind of a bad deal. Was it the first lap got in a crash?
For what? I mean, right off the start line.
And went to the work area, and the guys were working on the front end.
Well, I mean, and they said, you got to set the car down before the yellow flag. And so set the car down, the yellow's still on, and the push truck drives away. And the guy's like, nope, it's done. Well, he didn't. And I think the officials kind of realized the light was still on there for a minute because I think they were like, oh, shit.
Right. Now, did he get a flat tire there too? And see, I thought he had I thought the flat tire. I thought from what we seen on the broadcast, the tire went flat after they fixed the front end, and that's actually what delayed them.
Yeah, the tire didn't even look flat. Or didn't look flat. They started messing with that, and then, but it was still kind of a crappy situation down there because that guy did say, you got to have the car down and ready before the yellow light was off. Well, then the yellow light was still on him. Everybody's pushing the car.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope. And then they shut the light out. And I think when that guy looked up and seen the light was still on, I think he was like, ah, shit.
And it's
kind of screwed this guy.
Yeah, that's a tough deal, for sure. So that was the end of his Friday night.
Which sucks, man. B main, no matter if he would have just finished dead last, that he needed all 12 or 12 or whatever laps it was.
Yeah.
That was huge. That was bigger than anything just to have those laps because then you're going into Saturday with nothing.
Right. So then we go into Saturday and Cole started 7th in the I main. And at that time he had 15, 16 laps total in a midget. And it's time to go for the soup run.
Yep.
And, he qualified out of the I and went to the H main. And first, let's talk about the I main. Man, he got in 2 wrecks.
Yeah.
Flipped
upside down once.
Yeah, upside down. They roll him over, and he goes from the back, drives back to 6th, gets the final transfer spot.
Yep.
On like the last lap, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were all hooting and hollering, and the transponders were messed up, so we wasn't sure if he got in. I'm now at home. We're watching. We're like, I don't know if he got in. Like they kept saying he did. Then they showed him in like 8th, and I'm like, no, he was ahead of that guy. So it was kind of a mess there, but he got in. They got some little flow interview and stopped.
Yeah, because he ended Joe Perry's
the run,
possibly record-breaking super run.
Yeah,
and the funny thing was people weren't mad at Cole about it. People were mad at Joe because he didn't go to the bottom.
Right.
The last 3 laps, Cole's there the whole entire time, and just didn't shut the door for some reason. But it was cool for Cole to at least get through one and get a little bit of soup on a Saturday.
Yep. And then he didn't do bad in the H main. That, if I remember right, went green to checkered, and he went 14th and 9th.
Yeah,
but wasn't too far out, but we needed a caution on that one. And
he was just starting to get comfortable too, I think.
I haven't talked to any of them, but I got to imagine that, they can't be too upset with their chili bowl. I mean, they had bad luck, just like the shootout, man. Cole's luck this year in Tulsa was, it was brutal.
Rough. I mean, it was a great run for never doing it, never even sitting in it, never even having any laps in it, man. That's great. But you sit there and talk to Cole, he ain't going to say nothing about it, and he's going to want to win every race and this and that. So, it was just cool. And then, to see it. And then him and Denny just had a pretty good time just the whole week, enjoying the whole deal. So it was definitely a positive trip.
That's one of the things in my note was, what did Denny think of of the shootout or the Chili Bowl, and
Oh, he loves
his
it.
grandson there in Chili
Oh
Bowl.
yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason he's there. I mean,
Yeah, that's cool, man.
it's pretty cool to watch every time we go somewhere and Cole does real good. Denny just sitting there soaking it up, man, soaking it up.
I really hope for Cole that he gets that opportunity again, and maybe a few races throughout the year to at least get comfortable in the car. Get a few laps, and who knows?
I'd say you'll see. I'd say if he don't run a midget again, I would say you'll see him drive a sprint car.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think there's going to be some sprint car opportunities for him this year. I wasn't going to say anything about it, but then you said it, and I was like, all right, we could talk about it then.
Cole kind of touched on it a little bit on when we had him on, but didn't go into a lot of detail. And
it'll be a typical Joe B camp deal. They'll be somewhere, and we'll be getting ready to go race somewhere this week, and they'll be like, "Hey, guess what? We're gonna run that sprint car Friday."
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's a cool opportunity Cole's got there working for that team, and he's surrounded by good people. That's good team down there. So that's awesome. We'll touch on Joe B's Saturday. He was in the B main, started 11th, and fell back to 15th. But still nothing to hang your head about there. He,
I think what put Joe B. I mean, because I know all those guys are the same. They all want to win. They all every race they go out. But he got to race Monday, and then we sat there for 5 days, and then he goes out and runs one race, and it just does okay or whatever, and everybody's kind of like, this sucks, blah blah blah. But still, you qualified on a Monday, and you're in a B main on a Saturday.
Sure.
I mean, B main.
Yep.
Those B mains are the C main like features.
Yeah.
I mean,
and again, you don't run a midget, but a couple times a year.
So I think the more thing is just not getting to race that much the whole week. That we got the Saturday, and everybody's like, "Come on, Joe B's gonna put it in there." Well, hell, he hadn't ran the thing in a week, so I think that put him more of a bummer than anything. I think those guys were kind of bummed out that he didn't make it in there or whatever. But I still thought it was a freaking hell of a run.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at the people that he's around. I mean, it was everybody that runs midgets all the time. And, and even falling back to 15th, like I know everybody was looking at that lineup. It was a really tough B main, but it would have been maybe possible for him to run it up in there. But, starting on the bottom wasn't good in that B main. And he probably needed to start on the outside earlier, whatever. But his thing at Tulsa is railing that berm. And if he can get up on that deal and just rip it every single lap, he's going to move forward. And every time it seemed like he'd get his momentum up on the bottom, he'd get blocked by somebody, or somebody would come down, somebody would go up, and you get caught up in battles in that race, and all of a sudden, like you started 11th, you maybe got up to 10th at one point, and then you're starting battling somebody, and all of a sudden you're 15th, and it's like, and then the race is over. And
there's one lap left.
It happens so fast, and it's so that I don't think people understand just how freaking hard it is to get up into a transfer spot. Like, people say, well, if you get into the B main, you only got to get up to 7th. Like, have you seen the field that you have to get through to get up into 7th?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think they have anything to hang their head about, but every racer's there to win, and
I'll tell you what, I know Loren's hung around all those guys and have been around more people, but just being like hanging out there all week and just seeing the people that roll in and out of the trailer, that talk to him. I mean, like Tim Engler being there, just hanging out with him there, talking to him. You're just like, man, I see this guy on YouTube, or I see him here, there, or wherever. But just the people that come in and out of there and hang out there, you're kind of starstruck with some of the people. It's pretty cool. For my first experience being like hanging out with the whole team and getting to be around a bunch of people, the people that walk in and out of there to talk to, Joe B or his dad or whoever, you're like, man, this is pretty cool, man. This is pretty cool.
And you got like Frank and Matt coming in there, every other hour. It seemed like they just hang out and pour themselves another beverage or something. And then Frank goes out there on Saturday and puts that Rosenboom car in a show.
I know
that was really, really cool.
And that was another thing, being mainly really like micro stuff, and then Frank Flood's walking in there talking to everybody, hanging out and everything, and I'm like, man, that's Frank Flood, dude, man. I mean, he's sitting there just eating chips and drinking a cup right there, and you're like, man, This is pretty cool, man. This is definitely pretty cool. But yeah, that was a badass thing for Frank Flood to put
Right?
in the
He's
show,
tried
man. I mean,
all these years and finally put it in.
that was
Mhm.
neat. And
And
watching,
I think people don't realize he never really had a great opportunity to put a car in the show at the Chili Bowl. Like you look at the equipment he's been in, I think there was one year he was in a really good car and he just had bad luck. But every other year, the times that he's actually ran the Chili Bowl, he hasn't been in the best equipment. And this year, like the Rosenboom cars are good, but they're not KKM or, Chad Boat or, not even, like Chris Lewis quality or anything like that. Like they're fine. But for him to put that car in the show that was unbelievable. That was a
Right.
crazy, crazy good drive.
and he put it in the show. He didn't
Yes.
Limp
he
in.
didn't
Yeah.
limp in or like
Yeah.
start first or I mean, he
He
put
raced
it
his
in the
yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah.
Like if that B main was 30 laps, he'd have had a shot. Like he
Yeah.
was rolling.
Right.
I mean, he was passing cars left, right, because I was like, man, he's on the bubble, man. That's gonna suck. And I was like, well, shit, he's got 2 cars comfort level now.
Yeah, that's wild. Good for him. It's good to see somebody like that make the Chili Bowl. Anything else you guys want to talk about Chili Bowl?
I'm about good with that. Besides dying,
Yeah. All right.
I
So
don't know.
we'll move on to Loren. You have Box 3 Media. Tell us about Box 3 Media.
Well, so I kind of got my start in racing just going to every race with my grandpa, and we went to Plymouth all the time. And I actually met the announcer at Plymouth at a hockey game that I was producing a broadcast for. And he's like, I've been looking for somebody to kind of, help me out with announcing here at Plymouth. So I took him up on that. I did that for a year. And then me and the fair board there had some disagreements. And I told him to shove it pretty much, and then left and started crewing for Sean Rahal full time. He was a sports car guy, and now he runs sprint cars. And so I started crewing for him full time, and he asked me to do some press releases and run his Twitter for him. So I did that, and I didn't really have like a brand built up or anything. I was just kind of doing it for him, and then a couple other teams saw me doing that. They're like, well, hey, can you do that for us too? And I was like, okay, I should probably be getting paid, something for this. So I made up a brand for it, and it's gone through a couple different names, but we settled on Box 3 about 3 years ago now. And this will be my 6th year doing this of some kind. The first year I did it, I just had that one client with Sean. Next year I had 3, then it went to 9. And then the year after that, I had 36.
Oh,
So it blew up in one year. And so I kind of I decided to quit my full-time job. I was a CNC machinist for years. I think I did that for 10 years or so. And now I quit my full-time job. I started doing Box 3 Media full-time 2 years ago now. And so this will be my 3rd year doing it full-time. So we do, I call it a public relations company, but we do a lot more than just public relations stuff like press releases and things like that. We do graphic design, social media management, sponsor proposals, put you in touch with some different product partners and things like that, like, Sherbuilt and Rod End Supply and stuff like that. And those brands help us out a lot too, with different things that we do. And I've actually got a couple employees now and stuff like that. So it's kind of grown into a bigger deal than I could have ever really imagined. But it's like I couldn't imagine myself doing anything besides this, right? At least right now. If something else comes up down the road or something like that, maybe. But yeah, it's been pretty incredible to see it grow. How it is, and the shootout and Chili Bowl have been easily the biggest part of that. Like the shootout is where I make a good chunk of my yearly income is the shootout, Chili Bowl, and things like that. And that's also where I get a lot of my client base from because they see the work that I do there, and then it kind of builds into relationships throughout the year and things like that. And Joe B's been a huge part of that. Joe B and his dad have brought me so many clients over the years just from the people he works with and the guys that run his cars and things like that. So I have to have a big old shout out to Rick Miller, because if I didn't, he would, text me about it or something like that. But yeah, they've been a huge part of it, and um, yeah, it's been pretty cool, and I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of really really cool people, and we just picked up Steven Snyder Jr. for the full year this year, which is going to be really really fun. He's got some really cool things in the works, so um, yeah, it's just fun to work with a lot of people that I never thought I would meet, and now also never thought for sure I'd never work with them, but it's really really it's a cool deal.
So if somebody wanted, your services, what's the best way to go about that?
Well, first off, I'd say check out our Facebook and Twitter and stuff, and see if you like it. See if you like the look of what we do, because it's not for everybody. Some people don't like the flashy graphics and things like that, and there's a lot of people that don't like a ton of promotion. But if you are interested, shoot us a direct message on Facebook, or you can email me at box3racing@gmail.com. We also started doing things for businesses too. So actually, we're working with Sam Coleman and Prestige Trucking, who I know you guys probably know who that is, and we work with Built Suspensions, Rod and Supply, a bunch of different racing businesses and things like that. And now a great company, which was the deal with Chase McDermott at the Chili Bowl and things like that. So we're starting to do that side of things as well. So yeah, if anybody's interested, just shoot us a message on Facebook. We're pretty flexible with pricing and things like that to try and make it fit people's budgets, because that was kind of the basis that I started it off of. I wanted high quality um, PR services for something that local teams could afford, because the local teams, I feel like, deserve just as much, the same quality of exposure and service as we would do for a national team, and um, that's still what I try and base all my prices off of. Is this something that a local team could afford and it would be worth their time, but also is it something that's still going to make me money and make the business, go.
Right.
So
I obviously this year with us starting the podcast and starting the podcast page, and we've devoted a lot of time to the shootout, Chili Bowl. I tried to highlight a lot of our locals at the shootout,
mm.
and I don't see how you do what you do, because I would literally not do any of that. And here you're pumping stuff out right and left, and I'm like, my gosh, like, how do you do all that?
You get a new phone just about every 6 months or so, because it burns out real quick. But
Right. I can only
yeah,
imagine. I just got to where I
yeah,
was sharing all your stuff. I'm like, hey, this is way easier.
yeah. Well, that's kind of the idea. I mean, it's the main reason that I started it was, and the only reason Sean actually asked me to start it was because I was noticing that he would get out of the car after a heat race or something like that, and he would immediately pick up his phone to go on Facebook and post how his heat race went. Because he had to do that for the sponsors that he had or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, that there should be somebody that does that, because that shouldn't be a driver or a crew chief's responsibility or whatever. So I was like, let me take care of that for you, and then you can worry about making the car go fast and learning how to drive these things. How about so? But
So
yeah,
we actually have a young woman down here who's going to start trying to do that. And got any advice for her? She's going to start trying to do locally what you're doing.
um, be prepared to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because that's when you have to be on call for this kind of
Right.
thing. Because I guarantee you, at one point, somebody's going to text you at 2 a.m. and say they need something out at 8 a.m. the next day.
Right.
That's happened to me like 3 times this past week. So, but yeah, it just become a jack of all trades, be able to do everything, be able to write well, take courses on writing and, forensics and, English. Like, English is crazy. Like, just knowing how to actually type out proper English is,
Punctuation
tough.
and yeah,
Yeah. And,
I'm terrible at all that.
well, I mean, it's more of just like having everything in AP format and things like that, and learn Photoshop. You kind of have to. This is one of those deals where you're going to have to spend a little bit of money to make money. You have to have all the Adobe products and things like that, which is very expensive, but it's worth the time because your stuff will look so much better. Um, yeah, I don't give up, I guess would be, because I had a lot of points where I was ready. I was ready to just say, screw it, this is not worth my time at all. But then something would always happen to kind of, I guess it's just like racing. If you go out and you run like shit one night, and then you come back the next night and you run well, it's you're ready to quit that night, but the next night you come back and get a top 10 or something, you're like, all right, we're ready to rip next week. It's the
Right.
same exact thing. Same exact thing.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Your stuff definitely stands out. I've obviously seen your work for the last couple of years, and it just seems to grow and grow. And now you're starting to do some of our local guys, so that makes me see it a lot more. We're based out of the Farmington area. I know you've worked with Cole Tinsley, Joe B. Gage. Have you worked with Gage Montgomery? Have you done anything?
Yeah, so he's coming back for another year with us this year. So
Corbin Keith, I know you've worked with him.
yep.
Any other Farmington locals that you know of that?
Max Crabtree.
We work with Max Crabtree,
Yeah.
Colton Hardy. We worked with this last year. Oh man, I'd have to pull up my list. But we've got a few. I mean, Trevin Littleton's ran down there a few times. I know he's actually pulling back on racing quite a bit this year, but he's focusing on some other things. And that's the thing with these younger guys, like they want to make racing their whole entire life, but I give him props for realizing that he needs to have a fallback. So that's a pretty good, cool deal. But yeah, Gage is awesome, man. He's going to be really special, I think. I actually, the way that I picked up Gage as a client was kind of funny. I was at Jacksonville for a 410 show. I don't remember who I was there with, maybe Paul Nienheiser or somebody like that. That was with Paul, because we were there because he lives, I don't know if people know this, but Paul Nienheiser lives a block away from Jacksonville.
Oh, really?
Which I always thought was kind of funny. He's like, all right, hop in, we're going to go to the track. And I was like, okay. I'd never been to Jacksonville before. And he's like, all right, hop in, we're going to go to the track. And all right, we're here. It's like, what? So we were there, and I saw Gage was running a 305 that night, and he got wrecked on like lap 5 of the feature or something. I think there was like a 20 lap A main, and he had like half a top wing left, no front wing. And he went out and just beat the crap out of the cushion for 15 laps and drove all the way back up to second in like a 20-car field. And I was like, that kid needs some PR. So I went up to him and I found his dad, I think, in the bar afterwards, and he was standing there too. And I was like, hey, like, let's make something happen here, because that was cool as, it was awesome. So he's a great kid and great family too. And I love working with them. And
man, I know, Tim, I don't know, I'm sure you've heard stories about Gage's dad, Timmy, but man, he was, Timmy was
A local legend.
Yeah, he's a local legend that's done so much and could have done so much more. And he elected to stay home and be a family man and party, and didn't go that route. I can remember years ago, Terry McCarroll come into town and done a press release that said, Timmy Montgomery is the best driver in America that nobody's ever heard of. And I'm like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to see. And, Gage is a chip off the old block, I guess. He's fun to watch. He's young. He's got some financial support behind him. So I'm curious to see how he does. I know he's going to run the Power I series this year. And I'm anxious to see how that goes. I know there's going to be a learning curve for him there, but same time, he went out to Indiana, which you'll know last year, that the Honest Abe series, and man, he done so well out there.
Yeah, he really impressed us. I think it was Lincoln Park. I think it was the first night he drove up through the field in the B main and did a really, really good job, made the show. And I think that was IRA's biggest car count in like 20 years or something like that. Like it was the 57 cars or something like that. It was just unbelievable.
And it was the who's who of racing.
Yes.
It wasn't, this ain't a knock on IRA by no means, but it wasn't your normal IRA field. You had all-stars there. You had who's who of sprint car racing minus Outlaws.
Yeah,
And
it was. Yeah, it was literally, and toward the end of the week too, when Houston's rained out, and we had guys
yep,
come down from
yep,
Houston and stuff. When Tyler Courtney showed up, then it was literally
yeah,
the who's who of racing besides the Outlaws, and it was
right.
really really cool. And the fact that nothing else was going on that week too, I think really shined a spotlight on us as a series and those tracks and the drivers that were there that you might not normally see on on Flow every week if you're watching just High Limit or the Outlaws. So um, it was a really really cool deal. We're not doing something to that extent this year. Not
That's
necessarily yeah.
that
I
was
mean,
fun.
it was fun, but it was a long week.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
That stuff is not fun. If you're an employee or a race team, or it's a lot of work to run 4 nights like that,
Yeah.
4 different tracks.
Mhm.
But that to me, that just opened a lot of people's eyes to Gage. I want to say he made 3 of the 4 shows, and the only one he didn't make, he was in a transfer spot and broke, or he would have
Mhm.
made all 4, and he done really well. So I'm anxious to see how his summer goes.
Yeah.
I know, are you working with Corbin this year? Is he going to be using you?
I haven't talked to his dad in a little while. I know he had something put out there by a different company. I don't remember who it was, but I just haven't talked to him in a while. And usually people come at me about that stuff after Chili Bowl because I tell them to
Right.
just leave me alone uh,
Right.
during these couple weeks. But yeah, he was great to work with last year
Yeah.
too, and he seems like a great kid. And his dad was good to me last year, so it's yeah, he picked up a win or two at Farmington, didn't he, last
Yeah.
year?
How many? We got it wrong. 3. Okay.
3.
We said
3. Okay,
we,
there
we
you go.
said 2 originally, and then
Okay.
it was
They
one off.
corrected you on that, I
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Jason was nice about it, but no, yeah, we
Yeah.
got that wrong. He's Corbin's going to be a gas or two, man.
Mhm.
He is Jason Keith Jr. made over. Eh, he's set on dig a lot, but
Mhm.
he's fun to watch. He's fast. He's fun to watch, and he's going to be another. He's traveling this year, so you know, anxious to see how that goes. That's going to, in the long run, make him a much better driver. And Jason flat out told me, he's like, we're going to get our butts kicked all year, but that's what you got to do if you want to become a good race car driver. You got to get away from your local track sometimes and get your feet wet against tough competition.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
What I know you. What's your biggest, like the most famous driver that you've ever worked with?
Huh. Um, Joby Miller. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I mean, honestly, he's up there for sure.
Right.
But I don't know. Actually, the just really funny story about Joby. The first time I talked to Rick on the phone, was I think Jim Newman, Jake Newman's dad, actually uh, sent Rick my number, and I was out ice fishing, and Rick calls me, and we're talking about this whole deal. And in the middle of our conversation, I had a tip up go off, and I'm like, "Hang on one second." I had to go get a fish out of the hole, but and that was how this whole me and Joe B, deal started. But um, I don't know, like honestly, Josh Bilicki at the Chili Bowl was pretty cool, and I've worked with him in the past too. And I know he's a NASCAR driver, but he's not one that has had many great opportunities. He ran for
Right.
Joe Gibbs a few times this last year and did really, really well in the Xfinity
Right.
car. But and the fact he's from Wisconsin too is pretty cool. Um, I mean, Todd Cleaver ran NASCAR Cup Series for a while. Um, Honestly, probably Sean Rahal. I mean, he was my first client, and I mean, he won. And, maybe not super popular in the U.S., but I mean, he won multiple championships over in Europe in sports cars, and he won a couple Indy Lights races. He actually is on the very short list of people that have won in a open wheel car at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He won an Indy Lights race there.
Uh,
Um, which is pretty cool. You still find the video of it on YouTube, and he just looks like this little kid. But uh, yeah, I mean,
Go
I
ahead.
don't know. I haven't worked with many like super big names or anything like that, but hopefully I'm working with people right now that will be big names in the
Right.
future.
Oh,
So,
yeah. One thing I've never met you in person. I know Jeremy has, so I was trying to go back on your Facebook and dig up some information on you. And I did find out that you worked for Sean Rahal, and I'm like, man, I know that name, and I just
yeah.
couldn't place where it was from. But that might be, I thought, well, it's just, I see he wins sprint car races here and there. But
Mm.
one hobby I was able to pick up on you, you like to fish, and you brought that up.
Yes.
Oh, Jeremy here, he's a fisherman. So
Yep.
did you guys bang fish stories together?
No, he's running around like he comes in there to eat and hang out for about 10 minutes, and then he's somewhere else.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. He don't get to sit around.
Which we do got to thank
All right.
Warner.
But that's why fishing is so good. That's why fishing's so good, man. Because
some pretty good cooking for us, man. That was pretty good.
dude, oh my gosh.
It
was every night too. It was great. I was looking forward to it on Saturday, but they already picked everything up.
No, he didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Saturday we had to fend for ourselves, and he was mad that we didn't have pizzas or something in there for him.
No, Warner.
Warner.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
You didn't have hot dogs for you or anything?
Not on Saturday. Every other day he made a full meal.
Well, I seen that, he put on Facebook he was going to take the week off. Then he got down there and it's like, I can't do that. So then had to go buy everything.
Yeah, he bought everything. He bought a Instapot thing and all kinds of stuff just to make the food.
Great. It was great every night.
There was plenty. I mean, because there was people coming in there eating from everywhere, and there was still food left every night. So yeah it was pretty good.
Yeah.
What is there a race or an event that you want to cover but you haven't got the opportunity yet? What's on your
Indy 500 for sure? And I've never even been. I've been to the track. I've taken like a tour of the track and everything like that. And I guess if I couldn't cover the Indy 500, I'd love to cover the BC 39.
Yeah.
But there's just we always have schedule conflicts and things like that. I've always had drivers running the BC 39, but I've never been able to go in person. I guess the Kings Royal is up there too, and we actually have off Kings Royal weekend this year for IRA, so I was thinking about going out that way. But Eldora just doesn't. I don't know. I don't have like a huge desire to go to Eldora, if that makes sense. And I know that's probably sacrilege to everybody in Ohio or whatever, but like, I don't know. It just doesn't have for me, it doesn't have the mystique, I guess, of a place like Knoxville or whatever. But
my thoughts on that, I'm not a big half mile fan.
Yeah, and that's my thing too. I honestly, if I had to choose between going to Kings Royal and like a 2-day show at Jacksonville, I'm going to Jacksonville every time,
100%.
every single time.
Yep.
So
I've only actually been to Knoxville Raceway one time. It was for a 2-day outlaw show, and to be dead honest, it was the worst racing. It was terrible.
Yeah,
but
I like Knoxville. Like the prelim features for the Knoxville Nationals are pretty good, but the heat races, like I get that heat races, like in other places, don't really matter, but at the Knoxville Nationals, like your qualifying and your heat race is huge because it's an 8-car invert from qualifying.
Right.
And the races are always follow the leader. And I'm like, okay, like I love the format. I think the format is perfect. But if you give guys a hammer down 1-lane racetrack on a half mile for their heat races, how do you expect the guy in 8th to get up to 4th?
Right.
Like, you know, it to me, it makes no sense. And I'm just, like you said, I'm not a big half mile guy.
Now, I will say, if I had my choice of half mile, I'm going to go Knoxville, Eldora, Jackson. I'm going to pick Knoxville. I think that's the raciest half mile there is, but it's still.
Man, I can't believe you guys are hating on Eldora, man. I've been to Eldora a handful of times, and it's just freaking. Every time I've been there, it's just been lights out.
The atmosphere would be fun, but the racing?
Oh my God! But see, every time we went with some like different kind of organizations. I don't remember, but we just showed up one time, and USAC non-wing was there, which was insane. And
non-wing is completely different on a half mile. So, and especially Silver Crown, I guess probably my favorite event that I would want to go to at Eldora would be 4 Crown.
Yeah.
I think that would be better than Kings Royal almost for sure.
Yeah.
So
but
we went to a couple of different races like that were there, and Eldora was just amazing. And every time I went to Knoxville, I was ready to go home. That place is the most boringest crap hole I've ever been to. I was so mad at it. I was so excited to go there,
Right?
Because everybody hypes it up, and you get there and the racing is just awful. I might as well go over here to get International on the pavement place and watch these guys putt around.
You know, the only cool thing happened the night I was at Knoxville. Dennis Moore put Doc Sloan's car in victory lane.
See, and that's who I always went with.
Yeah, that's
Sloan,
like,
and we had a good time.
Yeah, that was the only cool part.
Yeah, but I was like, I mean, the museum's cool. It's one of those things where everybody talks about. You go to a racetrack and they're like, "Man, this facility is really nice." And then you're like, "What about the racing?" I don't know. I didn't really care. It sucked.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I've never gone to Knoxville because of the racing. Like, put it that way, you know.
Yeah,
and
I would still like.
However, in terms of half mile, I would put Port Royal probably at the top in terms of half miles that race the best. I'd probably say Port Royal races the best. And again, Eldora can have really, really good racing, but to me, in the past, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, the prep has been awful and the track's been not good. So maybe that's what's turning me off to it a little bit.
That's definitely weighing on it. It's not been the same, you know.
Yeah, but if it gets dry slick and you get a big old cushion up on the wall for those Silver Crown cars or something like that, oh my gosh. Silver Crown cars are the best type of race car, by the way, just in case anybody was wondering.
So that's something I've been to 1-2 times. Man, they're fast.
Well,
unbelievable.
The Silver Crown, me and actually Kent Buckley was talking about a long time ago, and he's like, "I'd like to get one of those." And we went and I don't remember where it was. It may have been
DuQuoin or Springfield,
either or, because I've been to both of them a couple different times, and we went and watched it, and I was like, "This is insane,
right?"
Yeah, I said, this ain't like
stupid.
I said, it looks slower on TV, like super slow.
Yeah,
and you get out there and you're like, holy crap! And Kent's like, we walked away, and Kent's like, "Yeah, I don't think we'll think about that." Yeah, you know.
Yeah. I enjoy Silver Crown. I don't like watching them on TV, but in person, they're fun.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty cool that it's picking back up. You know, there for a couple years, I thought that was dead.
It was dying.
Yeah.
And now that I think what helped it is, I mean, not to say it, but some of these younger people, you know, that have jumped in it and just it helped the sport. You know, just to pick up more fans. And I think Kaylee Bryson, and then even a handful of the younger guys jumped in it, and man, it just brought it back to life.
Right.
I think Logan CV's been a big one.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep. All right. You want to touch on anything else on Box 3 Media?
No, I think just, shoot us a message if anybody's interested in it. We do have a couple openings left for this year, but not many. So
you better get on it fast then, huh?
Yeah.
Jeremy, you better get Cole's spot for long or something.
Well, I think half of stuff BJ ends up just doing like I know I've donated to the cause a couple times, so I know he's done it, because I think he covered a couple of different things, and we've put it on there, but I know we haven't done the whole year deal and everything.
Yeah. I don't know. And Cole, the thing is too with Cole, I mean, he races, but he doesn't race like all of our packages are based off of 30 races, and when was the last time Cole ran 30 races in a year?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah. Right. Last year we put him out there. I mean, I told him when we started that car and we bought that car, and I said, "Here's the deal. I know you guys run these select 8 or 10 shows or whatever." I said, "But we're going everywhere. So let's rock and roll." And I mean, I know part of it is his dad can't go to a lot of it, so that does suck. But I said, "Hey, we're going."
Right.
So
do you have, if somebody wants like a 1 or 2, 3 race sponsorship package, do you have something like that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have anything set in stone, but I just kind of base it off of what's the event, what are you going to actually need for it, things like that. So that's all we do for like the Shootout, Chili Bowl, Knoxville Nationals. Those 3 events are the ones that I go to every single year and pick up like clients for just those events, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like at Knoxville, I'll have 8 or 10 guys or whatever, and maybe 2 or 3 of them are like year-round clients for me, and the rest of them just want coverage for that week because it's the Knoxville Nationals.
Right.
So
that makes sense. Let's talk about the IRA schedule. Explain what you do with the IRA and a little bit about the series.
Yeah, so I'm their main announcer up in the tower, Madeline Madeline Rue. Excuse me, she's gonna crucify me for that. She just got married, and
Oh, you're in
she
trouble.
actually went to the Chili Bowl as their honeymoon, her and her husband Preston. So, um, yeah, congratulations to them, obviously. But yeah, so I'm their tower announcer. Maddie helps in the infield, and she stays up in the tower in early parts of the night. But then she handles most of the social media, and I help out here and there too with their social media stuff. And yeah, it's a great series, and I'm super super lucky to be a part of it.
I enjoy. I get to watch a lot of IRA stuff on Flow, so I enjoy. You know, I enjoy that being on Flow every night, and
Yeah.
get to watch a lot of what I consider local people, local-ish. Joe B runs a lot.
Mhm.
Newman, some of the Northern Illinois guys run it a lot, so it's always fun to watch.
Got a Missouri
Yeah.
date this year, though.
Yeah. Do we?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Peasley.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
tell
So
us.
we get a
that's
yeah,
a,
so we have a two day weekend now by you guys. We have Jacksonville on Friday, June 13th, and we go to Peevely on Saturday, June 14th. So
I'm there,
I'm very excited. That
yeah,
is one hell of a 2 day weekend.
yeah,
dude. Right? Like, man, that's fun. Two fun tracks, two
Yeah.
tracks. You got to be up on the wheel.
Yeah. And
That's
two
gonna be
tracks
awesome.
where there's going to be about 70 billion cars each
yeah.
night,
Oh,
each one.
right?
Because, I mean, obviously, Jacksonville, you're going to get all of our guys. We might bring 16, 17, 18 somewhere in there down from Wisconsin and including our full timers and things like that. And then you're going to get all the Jacksonville regulars. So that's another 20, 25 somewhere in there. And then more coming up from, Missouri and things like that because you got Peevely the next night.
Yep.
So I think we could see car counts in the high 40s both nights of
Yeah.
that weekend, which would be really, really cool. Maybe not necessarily cool for our full timers, but I think we have enough full timers that have Jacksonville experience that I think our guys could do really well, especially at Jacksonville and Peevely. Even some of the Jacksonville guys and things like that, people from down here, they don't run Peevely that much. I mean, what do you get? 4 outlaw shows there a year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So I don't think there's a huge advantage at that place, especially with it being a little faster paced and things like that. So
Peevely used to have, they used to have a couple like Wednesday night shows, some weird off the wall sprint car shows, and then they would bring a Mao show here and there or something like that. But there'd be 6 or 7 sprint car shows. I mean, just randomly there and everything, and it was good. But then I would say the last 4 or 5 years, outlaws, and that's it.
Yeah, Jeremy won't be there though. He's going to be at the Hustle. Prelude Hustles.
oh
If it's just a prelude, I don't know about that.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, he'll be there chasing micros probably. No,
yeah,
man, that's going to be a fun weekend. When I seen the IRA schedule come out last week or whenever it dropped, I'm like, oh, that's going to be fun. I know, was that last year or 2 years ago, IRA had a show scheduled and it rained out.
yeah. It was 2 years ago. We had a show scheduled there. And I remember it because we ran 34 Raceway in Iowa the night before, and me and a team, we trucked all the way to Peevely overnight, and then it rained out in the morning, and we
Yeah.
were torn up about that.
I was bummed because a buddy of mine he had bought a suite that night and I remember it was hot. It was I don't remember what,
Yes.
August maybe, and it was hot and I'm like, man, I want to go, but it's gonna be so hot. And he's like, I got a suite. You want a ticket? I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. So we had a suite and then it rained out and I'm like, mother effer. But I'm excited to see some of the IRA guys come down and I know a few of them have raced it, but who was your
Yeah, not many.
yeah who was some of the guys that run top teams last year for IRA? I don't even remember anymore.
I'll have to pull up. I actually have a full timer list for this year. And most of them are from last year. Obviously, we had Scotty Thiel as our champion last year. He's moving on to do something else this next year. But
Is he not
Jake
racing at all?
Blackers,
Scotty?
Scotty Thiel, yes. Yeah. If you go look on Twitter, he posted a very cryptic image of a couple cars in a race shop. He's
Okay.
racing this year. So,
Okay. He's just
but
not in the 73 car. Is that
so
what he was in last
so
year?
yeah, he'll be proud of me for saying this, but that was not like the 73 car. So that was very much Scotty Thiel's car.
Okay.
And with it was kind of a weird deal. So the 73 team has Gibbsville Cheese as their sponsor. Gibbsville Cheese provides all the motors for that deal. Scotty brought the cars and the trailer. So it was kind of a very much a joint thing with Scotty being technically the car owner with that deal and everything like that. So when Scotty and 73 team split, Scotty took all of his cars and the trailer. 73 team obviously kept their motors. So now for this next year, Logan Julian is doing the same thing that Scotty did. He's bringing his cars and his trailer along to run that car. So Jake Blackhurst is coming back. Oh, what's
Sorry,
up?
on Scotty, what was the alias he raced under during COVID?
Oh, Tony Knight.
Tony Knight. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I've talked to him a lot over the years. Back years ago, I used to help promote Farmington, the Queens Royal, and things. And Scotty was always a guy that I tried to get down, and we finally got him down once, but he ain't in no hurry to come back. That's all right. But I've talked to that guy a lot over the years, so I've always been a fan of his and tried to keep up with him. And I think he's run the Outlaws at Peevely once or twice, if I remember right. So he's run with some laps there.
Yeah. So he's not. I don't think he's running IRA next year. I still don't know exactly what he's running. I just know he's running something. But for the people that I know we have coming back, Jake Blackhurst, who's a two-time series champion, he's from Illinois down in Hannah City. And so he's coming back with the same team he's been with the past 2 years now, 9-6 Motorsports, another Illinois-based team. Danny Schlafer, who I think his career highlight was 3 years ago now at Plymouth. Bill Baylog, who is the GOAT of Wisconsin sprint car racing. Danny was running him down at Plymouth for an all-star win, and he just came up just a little bit short. Actually, IRA car swept the podium that night, which is pretty cool. Scotty Neitzel, he's coming back. He's a two-time series champion, and I don't know. If people go follow the IRA on Facebook, we post these little stat lines a lot, but Scotty, dating back to 1998, he has not finished worse than sixth in IRA points.
Wow.
Which is ridiculous.
Right. That's just impressive. He stayed in a car that long.
Yeah. And he was in it long before that, too. That's just as far back as I have reliable stats. Right. So it might be even longer than that. So it's pretty.
When I think of him, so that tells me that's, going on 20 years, he's got to be approaching in his 40s or older. I would have thought he was mid-20s. I don't know.
Really?
Just how you hear a name and you think of him in your head. That to me, he's a young guy, but I guess not. I guess he's been
actually he might get mad at me for this, but I'm gonna look up his actual age right now. I don't. Maybe it's not on his MRP profile, but I might be able to find it. He is 55.
No way.
Scotty Neitzel is. Yeah. And he's still out here winning races and against all these kids and everything. He's doing a great job.
I would have bet money he was 30 at the oldest. Wow.
I mean, he went toe to toe with Joel Myers Jr. last year at Wilmot and kicked his butt. I mean, he schooled him at Wilmot. It was awesome. And I like Joel, but it was awesome to watch. But yeah, so Scotty Neitzel, obviously Jordan Goldsberry, the Rockstar Energy drink, number 65. He's down in Springfield. Jake Newman, he told me at Chili Bowl he's coming back. He has not released anything yet, but that's what Jake told me. So if he goes somewhere else now, that's his own fault. I believe Austin Hartman will be coming back. He's a local boy from Plymouth. Logan Julian, who was our Rookie of the Year runner-up last year, he'll be coming back in the 73 car. He had himself a hell of a shootout, too, did Logan Julian. He missed the Wing A-Class A-Main by one spot.
Oh, wow.
That was just the most brutal thing ever. But Chris Spitz, who's another long-tenured driver, kind of like Scotty Neitzel, he's coming back. Travis Aarons, he should be coming back, I would imagine, for full-time run at the series. And then I can't remember if we've ever had a New Zealand driver be full-time with us, but Max Guilford, from New Zealand is going to be running Greg Wheeler's 16C car this year full time. Will Garrett's, he's going to be running the great company number GR8 this year. And then PJ Hattie is our first confirmed full-time rookie of the year competitor for this year. He's from Plymouth as well. So, or not from Plymouth, but he runs there quite a bit. So we have a extremely strong field. And if the people that I kind of know are going to run with us but that haven't actually confirmed with me yet, well, we should have between 14 and 16 full-time cars.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, that's a good deal. I've always enjoyed the IRA series and followed up with it here and there when I can. I wish they came down this way more often, but I know it's a haul. So, and
well, it's a haul, and I've been talking with Steve St. Clair, who's our series director and series president, so much about this. It is a horrible market right now for sprint car series. If you look at all of these regional series that have been popping up in the past few years, like, the Maverick deal that kind of came last year, then fizzled out real quick. There was probably a second, or actually a third series in Ohio that fizzled out. And now there is a third series in Ohio with the All-Star deal. Yeah. And then Power Eye is expanding rapidly, trying to fill that All-Stars gap that's kind of gone now. And then obviously IRA, and then you have MOA in the middle of everything kind of. And it's awful. It is oversaturated. It's so hard to schedule because you have, like at the start of the year, we scheduled 34 Raceway the first week of April every single year. And then Power Eye comes out with their schedule. They're scheduled at Lee County Raceway in Iowa the same exact weekend, which is 20 minutes away from 34.
Yeah.
So we had to get on the horn to them and be like, hey, could we work something out? They're thankfully Talon Turner isn't an idiot, so he's moving that date. But the crazy thing is everybody's doing good things, but it's almost too much of a good thing. It's oversaturated. There's only so many cars to go around. And it's a really weird landscape right now for sprint car racing. You have to tread so lightly. You have to try and work with everybody, because if you don't, you just get stepped on. And it's very, very, it's a tough place to work in right now. And I don't envy Steve or any of these series presidents at all, because it is so tough right now.
I noticed, the night you guys are at Peevely, Power Eyes at Lake Ozark.
Yeah, so that is another weekend where I think they're moving that to a different weekend or something like that. Because I was talking to Talon at Chili Bowl. He's like, I'm not going to compete with a race at Peevely. He's like, I don't care what he's like, I could pay $10,000 and we won't get half the cars that you guys get at Peevely because it's Peevely. So he's like, I'm not an idiot. So it's kind of one of those deals. And I'm very, very happy that Talon Turner is, basically in charge of Power Eye now. And he's a great kid. And I know, maybe Jeremy, him from micro stuff and everything, but he is such a good kid. And the fact that he's only 18 and he's doing all this stuff is just blows my mind.
Right. I noticed a while ago when I got a little spread or a planner here, and I wrote down a bunch of dates, and I seen IRA at Peevely, and right above that I got Lake Ozark Power I-14. I'm like, man, that's going to kill the car count. But then I'm sitting here, I wasn't going to bring it up. And then once you started kind of talking about the scheduling conflicts, I wanted to point that out that, that's a scheduling conflict. But man, Talon's right, because that night all he would get would be his guys are running for points, because
he would get his 16 points.
Yeah. It's freaking Peevely. And if you're a sprint car driver, you're going to Peevely that weekend.
Yeah.
Nothing against Lake Ozark, but hard to compete with Peevely. That sprint cars at Peevely, I don't think it gets much better.
No, maybe sprint cars at Jacksonville, but luckily we get that the night before. So
I enjoy Jacksonville, man. That's Jacksonville is a fun. It's just so tight. It makes it fun,
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I don't know that I'll make the Jacksonville that week, but I know I'll definitely be at Peevely. I already checked the calendar. I don't have any camping trips planned, so I'm at Peevely for sure.
We'll see y'all there.
So, all right, we ready to wrap up episode 7 up here. We've took up enough of Loren's time. We appreciate you coming on with us, Loren. You got anything else you want to touch on before we go off? You want to thank any of your sponsors or anything like that?
Yeah, I guess I'll thank our coverage sponsors that we had for Chili Bowl. We had Rod End Supply. They've been with us for years now. Kenny and Bob, they help us out a ton of different ways. Sure-Built Suspensions. This is my third year working for them down in Tulsa. Let me pull up my list here so I don't forget anybody. Um,
And we
There
like
we
to
go.
forget people. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Great company. Russ and all the guys with Great and Mulch Express of Wisconsin. Huge thank you to them. Joby Miller Motorsports and Speed Shack Performance. Huge thank you to Joby and Louie and everybody that helps out there. Spankins Motorsports, who they actually sponsor Tanner Thorson, helped us out this year quite a bit. And that guy's from Wisconsin, which is pretty cool. Flying A Motorsports, J&P Machine Repair, G3 Designs, which is actually Jordan Goldsberry's company. So if you need any t-shirts or anything like that, give old Jordan Goldsberry a call. On Track RC Hobbies, Leadfoot Racing Entertainment, which is they make sprint car motion sim rigs, which is awesome if you're into iRacing and you've got
Oh, yeah.
a little bit of money laying around to buy a really really cool sim rig. Get one of those because they're awesome. And then Crabtree Concrete. So huge thank you to all them for helping us out with our coverage for this year in Tulsa and stuff. And like I just wouldn't be able to make those trips worth it without them because the travel costs. I mean, I'm sure the travel cost for Tulsa is insane.
I can
And
only imagine what
you know,
you
and I
guys.
don't get I didn't get a media credential any of these last 3 years, so I have to pay my own pit pass and all that stuff. So, everything is on my dime. So I need to make sure that these trips are actually worth it for me to go do. So without them, I wouldn't be able to make it work. So, and Angler Machine and Tool. Almost forgot them. I'm literally wearing their hat. So
While we're talking about media credentials, and I know you discussed Indy, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Have you applied for media credentials there? Have you gone down that road?
at Indy, no.
So after we're done recording, message Chad, our producer.
Okay.
He's got a good relationship with Indy, and he actually got media credentialed for, was it the 500 last year?
Yeah, something like that.
So go through, talk with him, and you guys might be able to work something out. I don't know. He might have a contact. I'm not sure. He just, he told us he has a good working relationship with Indy Motorsport or the Indianapolis track. So shoot him a message, and he can maybe point you down the right road there. Get
Well, I
you.
definitely will because I think it's the same again this year, but we usually race 141 Speedway on Memorial Day weekend, that Sunday that the Indianapolis 500 always is.
Yeah.
So that's why I've never been able to go is because we always race that Sunday
Yeah.
for IRA. I'm saying we always race that weekend, but it's kind of cool because 141's got a really nice bar next to the racetrack. So we get there, everybody gets their stuff unloaded, get all set up. And then the entire pit area goes into the bar to watch the Indy 500.
That's
Pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Lauren, we
Yeah.
want to thank you for coming on, being you're our first Zoom episode, or first Zoom guest, and we also want to thank you for coming on board as a sponsor of the Dirty Right Rear podcast. So we appreciate that, and we it took me about 10 tries, but I got your ad recorded before you came on with us. So
Yeah, it was
heck yeah.
pretty rough.
yeah, it was.
Oh, no.
This guy's made us miss like the last month, so I'm out of routine of reading stuff from a phone. I forgot how to read and talk, and I was stumbling all over myself. But I finally got it. He gave me one chance. He said, "If you don't get it, I'm going to do it." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I got to get serious now."
No, then the robot.
No, so
It was good. The robot come out.
Yeah. So thank you.
no,
We appreciate.
of course.
Giving back.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, I used to, well, we still, I guess, technically do, but we used to have a podcast every week with Box 3 and with a bunch of our guys up here. So I know how much work goes into making these deals.
Right.
So, yeah, any way I can help would be great. So, yeah, no problem at all. And I appreciate you guys too. So,
Yep. Thank you, and thank you for coming on with us. And we'll be seeing you at Peevely in a couple months for sure.
yes, sir.
All right. Take care, Lauren.
See you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.